that Christ was incarnate in flesh. He died on the cross for our sins. He rose again on the third day. He ascended back into heaven, and he's coming again. We agree. So that's the key bits. On the essentials, all Christians agree. Catholic, Protestant, Baptist, doesn't matter. But if you go away from those teachings, you become a sect and a cult, like the Jehovah's Witnesses, like the Mormons. And that's why I'm saying, that's why we can agree.
No, as I said, we can debate here zillions of years about how to determine sect or not. Because if you're Protestant, right? Dated to what?
I'm a Christian. In the end, it comes down to, do you follow Jesus? Do you love Jesus? Is he your Lord and Savior?
But who can tell you, like, this is correct, this is wrong? If you are saying the Bible, who determined the canon? This is my question.
The early church.
The early church. Which church?
No, there's only one church. There's only one church.
Which church?
He knows it, It's a Catholic.
Catholic Church, not necessarily the Roman Catholic. The Holy Catholic Church is made up of all Christians throughout all time.
So why do they have different books then? Why do all the Christians have different books? The Catholics have different books.
No, Christians have...
The number of books are different.
If you ask me a question...
Well, I didn't even finish. You already interjected.
That's a bit deceptive if you are.
Why is it deceptive?
Because we're talking and you're coming and invading the conversation for camera.
No. It's a public speaking place. Anyone can come.
Okay, and I can publicly refuse to be on camera.
Yeah, you can. You can even go away from the park if you want. Go away. That's what happens. When you have the truth, then they run away. Because the thing is, look, the Catholics, the Protestants... No, don't tell me what you do.
I want to win an argument, and I'm not into arguments.
You want to conceal the truth because you have the falsehood, you run away. If you have the truth, you want to... You know, when you have the truth, you want to proclaim it to the world, like the way Jesus did. When Jesus was there, he wanted to proclaim the truth. Not like this man hiding behind the camera and saying, oh, he knows. He's been coming here for years. In this place is a public speaking place. Anyone can record. They don't need special permission. It's perfectly all right. If you feel humiliated by your falsehood, I'm not surprised. Because that is what happens. When the truth comes, the falsehood scatters away. You know, that is the reason. And it's calling me coward when he runs away. Look. Look at the irony.
But
the fact is this, brother. The Catholics, the Protestants, the Orthodox, they all claim to have the same Holy Ghost, the same Holy Spirit. But see how they run away when the truth comes. You know, this is what happens. When the truth comes, the falsehood runs away. And every time we have seen this. This man, he comes to the park. He's very good at preaching. But when we come with knowledge from their own Bible, they don't want to deal with it. Yes. So if there are any other Christians here brave enough to step forward, please do so, because we were discussing.
Do you want to win a debate, or do you want dialogue?
I want the truth. Which one do you want?
Conversation.
Truth?
Conversation.
Yeah, but truth, right? A conversation can be based on falsehood. A conversation can be based on lies. The point here is, do you want the truth?
I would quite like to know what you think about certain things, and then I say what I think about things, and then we understand each other. I don't need to win an argument over you.
What gave you the impression we want to win the argument?
Because he said so.
Just because he said you believed it?
Well, this is what I'm coming to.
Let me ask you something.
I've just asked you whether you wanted to win a debate.
And I told you I want the truth.
Okay.
Whether I win or lose, so irrelevant. The problem is
that's how I understood.
Okay, good.
By asking you, and then you answered.
Why shouting?
Now,
calm down.
Because you're trying to shout over me. This is how it goes. So
also, you doing the same thing makes a difference?
Well, it's much better to talk.
Yeah, so let's talk. So when I asked you, when you asked me, I gave you the response already. Do you agree?
So no,
see, you're already interjecting.
So,
I thought you wanted a dialogue, not a monologue. Let me finish my statement, my friend. Let me finish, and then you can talk.
Goes to and fro.
Exactly.
A debate is where you talk over everybody else.
Okay, so if you want a conversation, let me finish my statement. Two-way, remember? Your own words.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you asked me the question, do you want to win the debate, win the argument? My response to you was very clear. Whether I win or lose, I want to establish the truth. Now, if you really value truth, then you shouldn't have a problem being being on camera. Is that right? Which is the reason.
You are different.
See, I haven't finished still. Let me finish.
You asked me the question and I'm answering you.
I haven't finished my statement. What I was saying, that man over there, he wanted not to be on camera. That was his main purpose. You know why? Because the first time when he had a discussion with me on camera, he felt humiliated because he didn't know his own Bible. When I quoted the truth to him, he felt humiliated. This is called arrogance.
My question to you was, is that your plan?
What is my plan?
To humiliate people?
No, my plan is to establish the truth. This is the third time I told you.
Okay, yes. Well, that's not what I'm here for.
You're not here for the truth. Then I should talk to someone else.
I told you why I was here.
Are you here for the truth or not?
I'm here for a different purpose.
What is your purpose?
To understand how you think. You hopefully will understand how other.
Why would you want to know how I think?
I don't come here to.
Why would you want to know how I think? Are you some sort of a psychologist or something?
I'm here to understand how other people think.
Okay, once again, do you value truth?
Truth, yes.
Good. Now, when you see truth, do you accept it or do you reject it? When you hear or see the truth?
Well, it's not always clear at first whether it is the truth or not, though it may appear so. So quite often I will I'll listen and then go away and think about it and do some research.
Fair enough. That's a good way to do it. Now, I stand here as a Muslim, yes, and to me, Islam is the truth. What is your purpose in life?
I have many purposes.
What's your main purpose?
To have meaning in life. So
okay, and how do you know you have achieved that purpose?
Well, it tends to feel good.
Oh, is that it? So if you feel good, it's fine? You know, when some people, they tell lies, they feel good? I'm not talking about you, but I'm saying there are people out there,
I don't think that's the case.
You know, politicians, they don't tell the truth all the time. They feel good by telling a lie to win an election. And they have no issues with that. They feel good about it.
I'm not convinced that they feel good about it. I think they do it because it gets them something, but I don't think they live...
what does it get them? Votes? Well, it gets them money? Status?
I don't believe it
recognition?
Gives them all this? They'll pay a price for living that life.
Okay, so do you believe in God?
I don't think it's possible to know whether there is a God or not.
Okay, what is the best argument you heard for God?
I don't argue for God.
No, you heard. I didn't say you argue for God. What is it that you heard?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by that. But
okay, what I meant is like...
I don't believe in God, but I don't go about trying to dissuade people from their faith.
No, it's not about dissuading. What I'm saying is, look, you said you value the truth. What if God is the truth? What would you do then?
Well, some people will say the truth, something is in some way true if it works. So I would say throughout history, religions have worked by some measure or not. So there is some truth, even though I don't believe in God, I think there is some truth in religions that they are a tried and trusted way of running a society. So
okay, so
that means
your basis is
that there is some truth in that definition. Okay, so they are useful. Religions are useful.
Yeah. If I were to ask you, where did the universe come from? What would you say?
Oh, well, no one really knows entirely. You know?
No, but
scientists that know more than anyone else. I don't think.
I mean, you wouldn't say it popped out of existence just by magic, do you?
I'm not sure how it came about. There's all sorts of theories.
I mean, think about it. I'm sure you thought about it. What's the most plausible explanation for the existence? You do know that the universe exists, right? You're not one of those guys I've spoken to who say, oh, it could exist, it couldn't exist.
Through science, we've come to a better understanding of the reason for things, how they came about. So we know better now than we did, say, 1,000 years ago.
Okay, so based on majority of the scientists in this field, they say that the universe is something like 13.8 billion years which means it's finite. It began to exist at a particular time. And anything that begins to exist must have a cause. Do you agree with that premise?
That sounds logical. I wouldn't say categorically that is true.
What's the alternative?
Well, there are philosophers and scientists who are discussing that topic.
Yeah, but what is the alternative that they have provided?
Well, I hear about ideas about a multiverse or a string theory, and whether it's one or the other depends on the weight of the Higgs boson.
Yeah, I know you have said a lot of things I'm sure you don't understand yourself.
Well, exactly.
So exactly, don't use things you don't understand. So even with the multiverse, even with all these theories, the point still remains because none of these existed eternally. They are not like...
I don't know that for sure.
No, but this is what the scientists themselves say.
Well, some of them do.
Like they, based on the redshift and based on the galaxies moving away from each other, they know that it's expanding.
You know that book, Stephen Hawking, A Brief History of the Universe? Yeah. I read pages of that and I think I've understood that. And I shut the book for a minute and I think to myself, now let me go through that same argument or that same... And I can't remember it.
Okay, so Stephen Hawking's A Brief History of Time.
It's over my...
Yeah.
You know, I think I understand it. When I put the book down, it's all gone.
Fair enough, yeah. So, I mean, most of the scientists, they cannot work without time and space. And because for them, time and space did not exist before the universe, yes, then they can only speculate now. So,
well, yeah, I mean...
At best, it's a speculation, which, remember, early we said that we need to establish what is the truth, and
yeah,
we
don't know whether the universe is finite.
Yeah, but we can use...
Maybe one lives for, or exists for a period of time, and finishes, and then another starts.
No, so there's a scientist called Alan Guth. He actually refuted this particular theory of a cyclic universe. The reason for that is because of entropy. So every time you have a new universe...
Yeah, this is a word that I've struggled to understand, but I've looked up a number of times. Everything tends towards chaos, is
yes.
entropy.
So say, for example, if you play with the top, the spinning top, yes, it spins for a little while, and then it gradually, the speed decreases, finally it comes to a halt. That's because now the entropy has increased and it's come to a halt. The same thing happens to the universe. When it expands and contracts, there's a lot of energy that's required, yes? So it goes up to a certain cycles, they could say, maybe 10 or 11, before when the entropy, when it increases to such an extent that this cycle cannot now be continued any further. So this cyclic universe is again, like I said, is a postulation. It's more of an opinion. Yeah, it's not something that they can observe and identify as fact. So there are scientists who are pro this theory, this hypothesis, and there are people like Alan Guth who have refuted it.
Well, I mean, people can have multiple theories.
These are opinions.
Like juggling multiple theories along at the same time,
So these things are hypotheses. They haven't even reached the status of a theory. Hypothesis in science just means an opinion. So you can have an opinion, somebody else can have an opinion. You can have a mathematical model, which is a theoretical physicist, what they do. So they base it on theories.
Multiple theories on the go at any one time.
Yeah, so even the origin of the universe.
You've got to only be in for this team, like Leeds United. Someone can.
You can.
Postulate many theories.
Yeah. So the origin of the universe, it has many different theories, and Big Bang is the one which is the most accepted one. It makes the most sense.
Until we have a better idea, that's the current...
Yeah, but like I said, look, the scientists will never be able to tell you what happened before because they depend on two main factors, space and time. And without that, they can only speculate, whether now or in the future, it's the same. So why would you think science is a tool somebody should use for something which is outside of their scope, like metaphysical or...
Were you saying that religion and science are like incompatible?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying religion and science can work together quite easily. The only time when there is a problem is when science tries to claim. I'm not saying science as a pronoun here for science, but people who believe in scientism, who believe that this is some sort of a religion for them, that this is the only truth and everything else is false, then they are actually claiming that we have answers to everything, including things beyond the scope of science, like metaphysics.
Well,
that's when the problem arises.
Scientists would say that they will believe something or have trusted something until the evidence changes.
Yes, so
so they're quite happy, they're quite content to change their view on something when the evidence changes.
So they can never claim that they have the ultimate truth, because it's always fluid.
If you really are a scientist, then you will understand that a better idea might come along.
No, I'm not saying. Look,
but there are dogmatic scientists.
Yeah, of course there are, and
they're the ones you're talking about.
Yeah, there are non-scientists who are more dogmatic because they actually believe that all of the answers can be given by science. Let me ask you this.
It seemed that you were trying to generalize about scientists.
No, I said scientism.
Well, exactly, but
there's a difference between science and scientism.
Exactly.
And that's why I use the correct term.
Yes, but it sounded like you were trying to put all scientists in the same...
No, I didn't. If you were listening, I used the term deliberately, scientism, because this has become a religion for many people.
Well, not all scientists...
No, I don't think any scientists believe in scientism. They always believe, like the way you said, as soon as they have a new evidence, new set of data, which refutes their previous data, then they are more than willing to change their stance. But there are dogmatic scientism who believe that everything can be answered by science, which is not true. Yeah, which is not true. The reason for that is because science deals with the naturalistic reality of this existence. So science doesn't deal with things like, for example, which is beyond its scope. Things like metaphysical. For that you need the philosophy of science. Yes? So let me ask you, do you believe that there is anything other than matter and energy out there?
I'm sure I can think of some other things apart from that, but nothing comes to mind.
Okay. If I were to say to you that you are more than just molecules and atoms, what would you say?
Well, I don't think there's going to be anything of me and my the thoughts that are in my head. They're not going to exist after I die.
So what are they?
My molecules, my atoms will exist and they'll be redistributed somewhere.
So what are these thoughts? What do you think they are?
I think they just finish.
No, but what are they? If they're not matter, what are they?
Well, they're me.
Ah, good. You're coming close. You know what this me is? The self? We call it the consciousness. Do you agree?
Well, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So consciousness is, Descartes, who's a philosopher, he defined as I think, therefore I am. So you mentioned the thoughts.
Yeah,
you mentioned.
So when I stop thinking,
you mentioned me.
I will no longer be.
Yeah. So you see,
that's what I believe. Yeah.
This is actually a reality.
Exist.
Absolutely. This is a reality which the scientists cannot disagree with. They don't have any empirical evidence for it, but they still believe in it by faith. It's true. You cannot observe consciousness in a lab. You cannot perform experiments and say, okay, this is how I see consciousness. Because everybody's consciousness is subjective to themselves. You can experience it. I can experience it. But if I asked you to prove it to me objectively, you can't do that.
Just like I can't prove there's a God or there isn't a God.
We're coming there. So if you cannot prove your own consciousness using the scientific method, which most people allude to, specifically those people who don't believe in God, yes? If you cannot even prove your own consciousness using a tool which is, I would say, limited, which is called science, then how can you use the same tool, which is limited, to find God, who is also metaphysical and it's not matter like the way your consciousness is?
Well, maybe someone will come up with a scientific experiment for existence.
No, this is not a field from science. Like I said, this is beyond the scope of science. They don't deal with the
we didn't know how to prove.
They don't believe in metaphysical stuff.
We didn't know the world went round.
Yeah, this is matter.
We know that.
So matter, stuff to do with the universe, which is matter, science will deal with it. But things which are metaphysical, like your consciousness, like the angels, like God, all these things which are beyond the material world that we know of, then this is something that science will never deal with.
To say that I can't prove anything about my consciousness doesn't mean that God exists.
No, it means that you're using the wrong tool to identify whether God exists or not.
But I'm not trying to work out whether there is a God or not.
No, but you cannot say that the universe just popped into existence by itself. There must be a cause. And the most rational explanation is that this is a being. If you don't want to use the term God, that's fine. It is a being which is necessary, which has the will, which has the ability to create. And that's the reason we see all of this existing today. Because we know that the universe didn't create itself. It's nonsensical for something which never existed to bring itself into existence. Similarly, nothing cannot bring about something either, because absolute nothingness doesn't even exist. So what is the other most plausible explanation other than this necessary being who brought all of this into existence?
Well, I don't think just because we can't understand the reality of the universe.
No, we know that the universe exists.
Doesn't mean that you can draw a conclusion from that. It may be that we're not able to understand.
No, we know that the reality exists. We know that the universe exists. There's no dispute about that. The question is, where did it come from? That's the question.
There are certain animals who can't conceive of the world as we conceive it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't, you can't draw a conclusion that you're drawing now.
What conclusion did I draw?
Well, you know.
I'm saying that we know that the universe exists. We know that it began to exist at a certain point in time. Yes, and this is proven by the scientists. They have given empirical evidence for this. And we also know that the universe couldn't have created itself, nor could it have come from nothing. So what is the other alternative other than a necessary being who brought it into existence?
So it's like the God of the gaps argument that you're
well, unless you can fill the gap of the science.
Well, I'm still...
It's not God of the gaps, it's actually using inference, using a scientific method. Using inference in order to establish how this is plausible, and there's no other rational explanation besides this.
That's been
it's quite scientific if you ask me.
That exists at the moment.
Say again?
That exists at the moment. We may be fallible as human beings. We may not be able to conceive. There could well be a fifth dimension or a sixth dimension that we have no way of understanding.
How does that change the fact that the universe began to exist at some point?
Well, we don't know because we can't conceive of what...
Okay, so that's called the science of the gaps. We don't know. We will know. It's science of the gaps.
So we're both right then.
No, we are not. Because look, I'm using an inference, which is a scientific method which you cannot deny. I'm saying, look, it couldn't have caused itself. It couldn't come from nothing. What is the other alternative left? You tell me. You can't just say, I don't know. You can't plead ignorance and then say, oh, you all are wrong, but I'm ignorant as well, you know?
There are things that I reckon that I'm not capable of understanding. But that doesn't mean that they aren't there, or explainable or understandable by somebody or some entity.
Okay, there are things that we might not know of, or do you know anything that exists that you're sure that it doesn't exist, for example?
I was just Donald Rumsfeld's idea that there are known knowns, there are unknown knowns, and then unknown unknowns.
Unknown unknowns. Well, if it's unknown, then obviously...
I don't know any unknown unknowns.
Exactly,
I don't know about them, but they may be there. They may be there.
But then if you say, if they are maybe, then could you have doubts? Yes. Then could you be open to the possibility maybe there is God?
Maybe, yes.
Okay. So if there is a God, then what would you do?
Well, I'll tell you what I do without a God.
You're already doing it without a God.
Exactly, yeah. I live my life.
I'm asking you.
As if there is one.
No, I'm going based on your maybe.
I live my life as if there is a God.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I try to.
No. Wait.
But I don't believe.
When you say as if there is a God, do you take your life rulings based on some religious book that is claiming that God told them this?
Yes. Have you heard of this organisation called the Sea of Faith?
Sea of Faith.
The Sea of Faith.
No.
They're
What is it?
people from all religions and none. And the thing that unites them, there are Muslims, there are Christians.
Or the Baha'i faith.
The Sea of Faith.
Yes.
The one thing that they have in common is that they believe that they think that all religions are created by humans.
Yeah, but that's not God then. Where does God come in? The question, your maybe was God.
They read the books.
No, but that's got nothing to do with God if it's man-made. It's got nothing to do with it. I'm talking about the religions, the faiths that claim that the scriptures that they have is something which is a revelation from God, like the way the Muslims do. We believe that the Quran is revealed by Allah.
Well, these people get all their ideas from the holy books.
No, but you just told me that it's man-made.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking about those religions which are man-made. I'm talking about the religions.
But everything within those scriptures that they use for use the wisdom in those scriptures.
Yeah, but I'm talking about those religions.
So all the ideas that you use in scriptures, they use too.
No. Their claim or your claim is that those are man-made. We don't claim it's from man.
Yeah.
We claim the Quran is from Allah.
Okay, but it's the same wisdom.
No, it's not.
Yeah, because they use the same wisdom.
Have you looked into all the religions?
Well, not on a superficial basis.
Yeah, even on a superficial basis. Have you looked into them?
Yes, to some degree.
Okay,
yeah.
what is the core of Islam? What is the core belief of Islam? Anyone who looked at it superficially will know this.
Services. What's probably? I'll need a thesaurus, another word for to serve.
What's that? What is the core belief of Islam?
Yeah, well, I haven't got it off the top of my head.
Anyone who looked at it superficially will know this.
Okay.
So the Muslims, they emphasize on the oneness of God. Okay?
Oneness.
The oneness of God, the Tawheed, is the first pillar of Islam. We believe in 5 pillars. So the first one is the belief in God, who is unique, who is indivisible, who is all-powerful. He's a sovereign Lord and He's ever-existing, uncreated. And He created all of this existence, including the universe. So you know that necessary being I was telling you about? Yes? For us, the necessary being means without that, there's going to be no existence. And this is what I was saying. So everything is contingent, or everything is dependent on this necessary being. So by necessity, this necessary being always exists. Otherwise, all of this existence, which depends, which is contingent. You know, if you look at anything in this universe, whether it's a tree, whether it's a human, whether it's the animals, whether it's the skies or anything, they all depend on something else. Yes? But the necessary being is self-sufficient, independent, and absolute. He doesn't depend on anyone. And that is the difference between these religions which claim that they have wisdom of humans. Yes, humans do have wisdom, we have no doubt about it. But it's no way matches the necessary being who gave them the wisdom in the first place. Yes, humans do create things, you know, like the camera, like the tripod. Humans create things, yes, but their creation is no way like the creation of the Creator who created the cosmos, you know. From the cosmos to the minutest things, like if you study string theory, the the subatomic particles as well. All of that. And if you look at the DNA, if anyone looked at the DNA, they will say that this has certain order in it. It is as if there is a code which has been written by a programmer who has not only intelligence, but has the ability to replicate this perfectly. And throughout all of the animals and birds and humans as well, having different DNA, and your genes pass on to your children, just like they passed on to you from your parents. Yes? So maybe the color of your eyes, the color of your hair, your skin tone, all of this is coded in the DNA. Now you think about it. How can something as minute as a DNA within your genes just come about by itself, by chance? Think about it.
There is a theory. I listened to it. There's a Canadian evolutionary psychologist.
Yeah.
Says that there's a theory that religion is part of evolutionary. So we are successful as a species because of religion.
How does evolution explain coding within the DNA? It doesn't, because you see intelligence in there. Where did it come from? Where did life come from?
The people, the humans, throughout history, through the whole evolutionary cycle, that didn't believe in religion. They didn't have successful civilizations.
Really?
Yeah. So
I think most civilizations had religions. Give me one civilization that did not have a religion. Even the Chinese, they had religions.
They've died out.
Of course they died out. It's not because of religion. I'm saying they thrived because of religion, and they might have been destroyed because of religion as well, depending on the conflicts within their own societies.
I'm just describing to you a theory, an evolutionary cycle.
No, but that theory doesn't work in reality. When you look at the Egyptian civilization, did they not believe in God? Yes, they did. They believed in life after death. They mummified their dead. Why? Because they believed in life after death.
Okay, the fellow that has this theory, his name is Gard Sad from Canada.
Okay.
He's a professor of evolutionary psychology in Canada.
What is his theory?
That religion there is evolutionary basis for religion. So because he's been so successful in grounding civilizations in a truth, a successful way of thinking,
okay,
that they've been able to, the people who have these religions are able to pass on their genes to their children. So that it's successful societies run by religion.
I think belief is not something that is coded in the DNA. I don't know where you're getting this from. It sounds like pseudoscience to me. No, belief.
I've told you where I get this from.
Look, belief, including the scientists, when they believe something, yes, like you said, as soon as they have new data, they change the belief. So it's not in your DNA, it's something to do with your consciousness, your faculty of reasoning, your intellect which God has given you, which allows you to either agree or disagree on opinions, on religions, and so many other things.
In societies that have given up religion, or for a period like in this country here, the survey comes out every few years of how religious people are. It's going down and down and down.
Yeah. So the recent 2021 census showed that England and Wales, the number of Christians have become less than 50% now.
Yeah, but there are other beliefs coming in as well, irrational beliefs.
No, when you say irrational, so many people, what they do is like, okay, I'm done with this church, I'm done with this religion, I'm done even with God. So what they become agnostic, they become atheists, and then they start
reading their astrology, the stars, or they start believing other things.
So they have to fill the gap,
men can become women or something. Yes,
there's a big void for every human to fill, and this void they fill with either with the truth from God or with some nonsense from the world.
So what I'm saying, it's in our genes, it's in our DNA to be religious.
I wouldn't call it, because the genes, the DNA, these things are material. What I'm saying is that this is part of your consciousness. It's part of your fitra, we would call it, your natural disposition to somehow go towards a belief which makes more meaning, gives more meaning to you.
So what I'm saying to you, that it is your DNA that has led you to be religious.
No. I think it's my own belief, using my reasoning, my intellect, my consciousness, all of this put together made me a person.
Your DNA, you just follow it.
No, but the DNA, look, the DNA is, like I said, what you're doing once again is you're going towards the material thing which you can see, and you're ignoring the metaphysical which you cannot see. Like your emotions, for example. You know you have emotions as a human being. Yeah?
Yes.
Are you able to identify, you have any pets?
Yes.
Well, what do you have, a cat?
Well,
dog?
I help a friend look after it. When he goes away, I look after his dog. Yeah.
After his dog, yeah, good. So if I were to ask you whether you love your mom more or your friend's dog?
Oh yeah, definitely the dog, yeah.
But how would anybody else, how would you prove that objectively? That was bad. Hope they're not watching.
Yes, far more faithful and lovable than any human, yes.
Who gave you birth? Who gave you your own existence in this world? Your parents. Don't forget them. Okay? So anyway, what I'm saying is, look, you cannot objectively prove to me or to anybody else that you love your dog more. Because it's emotion.
People will observe.
Who?
Well, anyone that can to see.
You could be a good actor.
If you see someone interacting with a dog and then with their stepmother or whoever, they'll be able to tell who they prefer.
Yeah, I know, but it's possible they could be acting, right? Because humans can act, can show other people to show them, okay, this is my love for this is more.
Your father and your mother, but I can't imagine that you would argue with your pet.
Because they can't argue back. So you have taken the easy route. But trust me, no one can give you the love a parent would give you. Not even your best friend called the dog. Okay, this is something which you will realize once maybe, you have lost, I don't know, do you still have your parents?
Yeah, my mother, yes, she's still around, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you value your dad more now?
My father's died.
Yeah. Did you value him more after he passed away?
Yeah, that's why the heart grows fonder. The absence makes the heart grow fonder, isn't it?
But yeah, it's quite natural. But anyway, I think we digress. So what I'm saying is that there are things beyond your physical build, your physiology, whether it's your DNA, whether it's anything, which we call, like I said, your consciousness, your intellect, your faculties of reasoning. All this, based on the information around you, you make up your mind based on that. Regardless, everybody's got DNA. Everybody's got physiology similar to yours as a human being, yes? But they all still follow different religions. Why? Because the reasoning is different. Everyone's reasoning is different. Do you agree?
Yeah, well, it could be that you follow your religion because of where you were born.
Yeah. So, for example, I'll give you an example of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Many people follow the religions where they were born, and the religion.
Oh, there are many new Muslims, today who are English, who are Welsh, who are British, and these people,
If you were born here in England when there wasn't Islam, then you would probably be Christian.
Yeah, but now the census shows something different. English are not Christian anymore.
Yes.
So what does that tell you?
You'll be something. Well,
it tells you that it doesn't matter where you're born. Yes, your faculties of reasoning will take you away from what your parents might have believed.
Because this is a society that has come out of the Enlightenment, and so we're a few hundred years ahead of people who come from areas from Islam. So we knew
Enlightenment. We had our Enlightenment 1400 years ago. What are you on about? He thinks we are backwards. No, sir, it's the other way around. the reason you're going back to this nihilistic, when I say you, I don't mean you, I mean the society. The nihilist, it becomes a nihilistic society today where they don't even value the parents anymore. They value the animals more. Yes, they value what gender you're born is no more important, you know. Today they can identify as a billy goat, you know, if they wanted to.
Yes, I agree that
and nobody will bat an eyelid.
Religions are useful.
Yeah, of course they're useful. Not only useful, they makes the most sense even when it comes to when we talk about the origin of universe, for example. So it makes the most sense in that. It makes most sense when you take into account morality. Yes, take into account objective morality. Anyone who doesn't have a religion, doesn't believe in God, they don't have any basis that they stand on.
No, I can turn it on its head, because if you can't figure out moral principles for yourself, then how can I trust you as a moral person? You have to look at it in the book. I can work it out for myself.
Okay, how do you know what is moral? Who decides?
Well,
it comes naturally.
Really?
Yes, it comes naturally.
Oh yeah, it comes naturally.
No. Humans can work it out for themselves.
Okay.
Just because you don't believe in God.
That's fine. Let me ask you both whether it comes naturally. There is a woman who wants to abort a child. Is that moral for you or immoral? The only reason is because she had sex and she had a child, which was both her decision.
You made me think of the wisdom of Solomon there. So you have a baby and both.
No, I'm not asking you to chop anyone off. Yeah, don't worry.
The baby.
So what happens?
Cut it in half.
Woman, but society.
No, what would you say? What would you say? So there you go. So you see, he says he has no say in it, which is true. He doesn't have a say. But the question wasn't whether you had a say. The question was, would you consider it as moral or immoral to kill an unborn child? What happened? Your voice went down all of a sudden. You had a really loud voice earlier. What happened? It went all of a sudden.
Because of the ignorance.
No, it's because it fizzled out now.
Muslims.
So let me ask you this. Okay?
What's the difficult? That there aren't always answers that
It's a moral dilemma for anyone.
there are questions which are.
Do you remember what I asked you? Who decides what is moral? And that was specifically the reason I asked you, because if every individual is going to decide what is moral, then you will end up with contradictions. Because one person's morality might be another's immorality.
There's not always a right answer. Just like there's these moral.
So that is not objective then. Thank you. You just proved my case. It is subjective and not objective.
You win, you lose.
It is subjective. Everyone's morality differs then, because as humans we have different opinions.
You have to weigh up things. In every case is
okay. So
different.
in the case of the woman who needs an abortion, how would you weigh it up?
Well,
there's a life of a child at stake here. Life of a child at stake, and the woman's opinion at stake. How will you weigh it up? Go on.
It would take a long time, and I wouldn't be able to do it just.
No, she wants a decision tonight.
Okay.
She doesn't have a long time.
Why such urgency?
Because the deadline has gone.
What deadline?
The deadline that the government has put in place, that until and unless your child is, or your unborn baby, is it 4 months, I think? So if you're past 4 months, then you can't abort anymore.
I mean, there's many different countries that have different rules around.
Yeah, talk about this country. Let's stick to one place.
And they've all worked out.
We have already so many factors to look into.
Slightly different answers. So
based on this country, where the deadline is 4 months, the woman has got only tonight now. What are you going to say to her?
Well, I'm not going to take your parameters. I'm going to say around the world, different societies have come up with different answers, and they've all sat around and thought over many years what the answers should be. So
the woman doesn't have time to go into all these parameters.
Yeah, but there are people.
She only knows
all around the world have already
the rule.
With the answer.
Exactly. She shouldn't have had sex if she didn't want
discussion a few weeks earlier.
She shouldn't have had unsafe sex if she was in that situation in the first place. Okay, so what I'm saying is that you have a moral dilemma which you can't fix, as you can see. And this is not something which is an exception. Today we have thousands.
Sometimes there isn't a perfect
No, my friend. Today we have thousands of abortions taking place every single day in this life.
Why are we having an abortion debate with like 20 men and not one woman?
Oh, you were not there.
No, I just don't understand why you're all there.
How do we decide whether to have an abortion?
Where were you earlier when we were having the discussion?
I just
Bring you in then.
Okay, we have got a moral dilemma here. Let's see if we can fix it as a woman.
How do individuals decide whether to have a
So the question is this: there's a woman who wants to have an abortion.
Yeah.
Yes. Now you know in this country I think there's a rule which says that if your fetus is more than
12 weeks.
4 months, I think.
12 weeks.
No, it's not that long. It's 4 months, I think.
It's 4 months.
Yeah. So if it's 4 months, then they cannot abort after that.
Unless it's a medical reason.
Yeah, of course, unless it's a life and death kind of situation. But that's not the situation. The situation is she wants to abort. Okay. Now.
Well, it just depends on her circumstances, doesn't it?
Well, I just gave you the circumstance.
No. There's a whole
Like, do I have a
array.
secure job? Like, is it the right time for me? Would I like this child now? Or like, am I like, you know, do I need to develop more as a person? So,
Good.
like, how
Maybe
maybe
morals
morals
is
is about like your own, like having free will to make decisions.
Okay, very good. Do you agree with this lady?
Yeah, it's like,
Okay.
it depends on the
Have you noticed one thing that she said? It was all about me.
No, she didn't.
No, wait. I'm just analyzing what she said. It's my life, my career, my.
Hang on.
No.
No.
I'm analyzing that. You agree with her?
No, hang on.
What about the life of the baby?
Hang on.
What about the life of the baby?
No, she didn't say that.
She just said that.
One factor. It depends on the circumstances. That doesn't mean it's.
You know, from all the examples that she gave, it was all about me.
No.
None of them was about the child. None.
Is that like you're like saying not him as a part? You're saying like.
Okay, now that I've given you the other reason that she couldn't have had.
The concern is about having. You don't want children to be. You don't want babies to be aborted. What if all men had vasectomies? Then there'd be no issue. You could reverse it if you wanted to have a child. If that's your concern, then.
No. I already gave the scenario.
For every day of your life.
Hold on. I gave the scenario already. She's already pregnant with this baby. It's 4 months have passed,
Sorry, I
and she cannot
Different point of
abort.
view.
No, I gave the scenario as soon as you guys came here.
Excuse me, you're not listening. She did not say
What?
that it was all about her individual
doesn't
choice.
listen.
She did not say that.
She did.
No, she
I heard her and she did.
No, you're not listening. So
I think she can speak for herself. Did you say that it was all about you based on she can speak by herself without your interruption? So let me ask you this once again. Can you
This is a conversation about morals and like.
Yeah, it is about morals. From everything that you said, was it not all about you, my friend?
Well, I think like it's a very specific question. And
It was a specific question,
Is
yeah.
about like so that's one. I think there's different questions about how do we come to how do we have our morals, where do they come from, right? And then this is a different like specific question about one like hypothetical scenario.
It's not hypothetical. We have thousands of abortions in this country.
Yeah, I know.
It's not hypothetical. It's not we have thousands upon thousands of abortions every year in this country. So it's not hypothetical.
So that's not a question about morals. That's a question.
No, it is a question about morals.
It's a question
Because my point, the point that I raised earlier with this gentleman, when you guys are not here, the question was about the baby. What about the life of the baby? Why would you, as a woman, not consider that?
About the life of the sperm.
yeah, exactly.
So, like, if you,
I can't hear you. You need to come closer.
but they're both connected. So if you are talking about, you're also talking about your ability to look after that baby properly and give it a proper life. If you feel that you can't do it, then you can end up talking about yourself loads.
Okay, can I respond to that?
Absolutely.
Can I respond to that? If you cannot look after the baby, okay, was it the baby's fault for you to get pregnant? Not you personally, obviously. Was it the baby's fault for the woman to be pregnant?
It's a rhetorical question. Of course, you're not being advice now.
Okay, so it's not the baby's fault.
It's not maybe.
Good. It's not the baby's fault. Whose fault is it, my friend?
Whose fault is it?
not having
Not everything's
vasectomy.
anyone's
You
fault.
should
Why
have
does everything have to be
vasectomy
someone's fault?
It takes two to tango. It is somebody's fault to to get. The woman didn't get pregnant. The woman. Wait. We are not talking about the Virgin Mary here. We're talking about the woman who got pregnant.
Right.
Okay. We're not talking about exceptions. So it is definitely the man and the woman who tangled and got the woman pregnant. It's their fault. It's not the baby's fault. My question is, why would you punish the baby for your fault?
They took all precautions not to get pregnant.
Whatever gets you pregnant.
They tried not to get pregnant. Precautions, and the precautions didn't work.
Was that?
What if they took precautions to prevent pregnancy and those precautions didn't work? Is it?
By the way, did you come in the middle?
Is it
Wait, did you hear the scenario or you didn't?
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
No, did you hear the scenario I laid out? You did not. So the scenario is this. There's a woman who's pregnant for 4 months.
I added an extra detail just for the argument.
Okay, good. So the question is now of morality, why should the baby pay for the sin of the parents?
No, it's about context.
It's not a baby.
Just context.
What context?
Not a
Like,
baby.
what's happened to the woman? How is she got pregnant? How is it happened?
A one-night stand?
He's going to say it's baby. You're going to say it's not baby. Well, you're not going to go anywhere.
So a woman has all the eggs that a woman has, she has from like when she's born, right? So every month that you don't make a baby, are you like causing the death of a potential life every month?
No. You don't.
Why not?
I'll tell you why not. An egg by itself is not fertilized. Do you know that? Simple biology. Biology 101.
That's like
an egg.
killing that future child.
No. An egg by itself is not a child.
You're killing all of them.
Hold on. You're a woman. You should know this.
Sacred, haven't you heard before?
She's a woman. She should know this. You know.
The woman, she should know.
An egg and a sperm by itself is not a baby. They need each other to fertilize. It's simple biology. Come on, lady. With all due respect.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
So why you're saying that during the life of a woman, when she sheds a lot of eggs, you're killing lots of babies? No, that's not how it works.
Let her speak.
Yeah.
I did let her
Now
speak.
it's going against your view you want to talk over.
Was that?
You're saying that like if you have, this, the egg's been fertilised, it's gone to 4 weeks. If you don't let that, go through to have a child, then that's like immoral. It's like killing the
No,
child.
I'm saying in order to have a child, in order for the...
That's not what you're saying.
Let me finish. I'll let you finish. All I'm saying is that an egg and a sperm by itself doesn't make a child. Do you agree? So far. Do you agree so far?
We understand that. We're all on the same page. You don't need to like go over.
No, I'm trying to tell you because your earlier point was what? That a woman has X number of eggs since in her life, and then she loses a lot during her life.
Yeah, you don't.
But that's got nothing to do with infanticide.
It's a potential child.
See what I mean?
How many conceived eggs?
You see what I mean? You said it once again. Potential child. An egg is not a potential child. Not until it's fertilized.
Every single month that a woman does not have a child, they're committing the same immorality.
An egg by itself is not fertilized. How many times I have to repeat this?
But it could be. It could be.
See, it could be. It could be. It could be what?
The fertilized egg, like that could be a child.
No. Fertilized. In order for it to be fertilized, in order for the eggs to be fertilized, what do you need?
It's not an actual child. It's
Exactly my point. So let's talk about an actual child here, which you call the fetus, which takes the egg and the sperm for it to come into existence.
So you're saying from the moment of conception, that's when it becomes.
Yes.
That's when it's sacred.
Yes. That's when you have a potential life.
Why is that different? Why does that make it?
It's potential life. It's potential life. That's all I'm saying.
Except for species that reproduce parthenogenetically.
There's potential eggs in like every woman every year. Why is that not potential life?
Yeah, ignore your species.
We'll ignore parthenogenesis. Am I blocking your camera? Because that's what it's all about. Should we ignore parthenogenesis of the many species?
Just make sure
we're an unfertilized.
Proper, yeah? Just keep an eye.
Guard the camera.
And also, I think like if you are very, I can see your point of view that and I think everybody does have like the,
We were discussing a moral dilemma here.
Yeah. So
the life of a child or the feeling of the mother.
It's a sacred moment, and after that.
Exactly. When I bet you that when you or anybody here when their mother was pregnant with them, I don't know about him, but what I'm saying is that your mother would be proud to have you.
My father.
Yes.
Okay. Can I just?
Your mother would, even when you are 1 day old.
Fertile for only a certain number of days through their whole lifetime. Men are fertile their whole lives. If you had vasectomy
unfair that you've got a child.
Yeah, we're not about vasectomies.
Then there would not be any unwanted.
Yeah, but we are not. You're not. Then you won't have any population growth either. You wouldn't have any population growth either. So we're not saying everybody have a vasectomy. We're not saying that. All I'm saying is that when you
about having the moment conception happens and like that people don't want and then have to have an abortion. So you don't want that to happen. Men have vasectomies and then have them reversed when they want children. And that will never happen.
Okay, first and foremost, old men don't want that. No, old men don't want that.
Men may not want to have a child.
Okay, so don't have sex then if you don't want a child.
You don't have sex then.
Why did Allah make sex so fun?
If you want to kill the baby every time you're pregnant, then the question, wait, no, hold on. The question here is that if you.
So yeah, it's only to all of you guys. If you feel like that strongly, have a vasectomy, you'll never have.
Then you won't have children then. Are you saying never have children?
No, she wasn't saying that, clearly.
Okay, so obviously have vasectomy, that's the solution. Okay? But instead of saying don't drink, don't go have one night stands, okay, and then get pregnant, and then you have teen pregnancies, you have all these problems in society. Who deals with it? It is obviously the taxpayers who deal with it. Okay? And that is the reason you have not only caused the problem, you have caused a big, you have not caused, sorry, there's no solution there. There's a bigger problem here. And the problem is what? That most of these people who say that, yes, just abort the child, they have no moral values. Okay? And that is the reason you have people like this, everybody have vasectomy. Come on. That's not a real solution.
That was a big tangent.
Okay? Because if that was the case, she wouldn't be born.
Right.
Okay? If that was the case, we wouldn't be born. So anyway, I think we went away from having a discussion with this gentleman. So as you can see, it is clearly,
wait for the conclusion. Clearly,
a moral dilemma for everyone, even the women. For them, is a moral dilemma too, because they couldn't find a solution to this. What was that solution? Get a vasectomy. The vasectomy. Okay. So look, whatever you think you have as morals is going to be different for somebody else. Morals are different. Okay. So alhamdulillah.
It's like the pagans they used to bury the daughters. Like that was a normal thing, right? That was seen as morally correct to do. Like before Islam, that was seen
they used to bury their daughters alive.
But
and every society they thought that was what they were doing was right.
But that, exactly. So they see themselves as moral, right? Burying their daughters. That's pre-Islamic times. So,
absolutely, yeah. And that's the reason in this country today, as you can see, based on the recent census, the number of Christians have decreased. Why? Is it because they lack morals? What is the reason? What is the reason?
Well, I was telling you earlier.
It's a general correlation to development of societies.
Yeah, what is the reason?
Lots of religious belief happens across the world.
The Enlightenment. So that we went through our Industrial Revolution and we realised that we couldn't prove that.
How did that change your morals, the Industrial Revolution?
Well, it isn't better education, better knowledge.
No, it's not related to morals because we can work out our morals without God.
Yeah. So even the most poorest countries, they have their own morals. They don't need a revolution. A revolution for that.
We don't need God for that.
No. No. If you don't have God, then that is a situation which you just witness yourself. Yes, you end up with 10 different people with 10 different opinions, and then who's going to say that is going to be the law? Yes, who's going to say that's the life?
We're in the situation we're in because we now have science, and we've gone so far through the Industrial Revolution.
How many people listen to scientists today? Tell me about morals.
When we're ill, we go to the doctor. When we can't see, we go to the optician. When we have toothache, we go to the dentist. So we all use scientists.
But do you listen to them?
Yes, of course. He gives me antibiotics if I've got a bad infection. He gives me contact lenses or glasses if I can't.
Okay, watch this.
I do listen to that. Oh,
Steve, watch this.
Who's going to watch it? Him?
No.
The camera?
Yes. Your enemy.
Camera.
Watch this.
How is the camera my enemy?
I'll tell you how it is.
The camera's my friend.
Steve, if the scientists tell you that alcohol is bad for you, what do you do?
In moderation. Scientists say
even the smallest quantity is bad.
No, they don't. Some scientists say a glass
This is
many scientists have said on record a glass of red wine a day is good for health.
Which scientist said that? Name one. Name one.
Would you like me to Google it?
Yes,
Really?
Google it, and I'll Google for you that small quantity of alcohol is bad for you.
How is a glass of red wine a day bad?
Ask the scientist who said it. He said he's going to listen to the scientist. Watch how he lies.
Will you listen to my scientist?
Who are your scientists?
Scientists don't always agree. That's again.
Oh, wait a minute. I thought you said you were going to listen to them. What happened?
Are you going to listen to mine?
What? Yours what?
My scientist.
How big are they?
How big? What? Rotund? What do you mean how big?
Are you that deaf? I mean, sorry.
You said
are you that
big?
dense?
You said how big?
Yeah, big in terms of status.
All right. Well, say that then. Don't say big.
I didn't know you were that dense.
The only person that doesn't do anything wrong is the person that does nothing.
Exactly.
Polyphenols. Red wine is rich in polyphenols.
Read this. This is from
antioxidants.
No. Who's the scientist? You didn't name any. Oh, you're shivering.
Is that the line of an intellect?
Let's see the face. Let's see the face again. Steve, do the face again.
You're a little boy.
Okay.
You're a little boy.
You're a little man-child.
Well, I'd rather be a man-child than a boy.
Well, a man-child is worse, trust me. A boy. Okay, so
antioxidants in red wine.
You still haven't given me a single scientist, Steve. You lost the argument long ago.
Sobel.
Okay, so now,
Dr. Ashley
now
Sobel.
we know.
Is that good enough for you?
What is the qualification? Look at the face again.
To present her certificates.
Okay, of course, you know, if you are in a field where you have made a research and you have made a conclusion, then you must have some qualification.
It's common knowledge.
What is common knowledge now is this. This is new information from this century.
You're basing your information on a book that's 1,400 years old.
It's actually BBC. That's from the BBC.
No, but your main source is 1,400 years old.
No, my main source right now is the scientist.
But your main source is 1,400 years old, isn't it? You're now denying that.
Who's going to go first? Okay, so now this is from
He'll have to go first, second.
A medical journal. He won't shut up, this guy. So it's from a medical journal, which is called The Lancet. The Lancet is a well-trusted medical journal.
Of your faith.
Anyone knows that who knows about science, okay? The reason he's now shut up is because he realized that this is scientists, proper scientists. And what do they say? What do they say? You know what do the proper scientists say? They say no alcohol safe to drink. Global study confirmed.
This is just singing
by scientists who have published their finding in the Lancet.
How do you choose your
This is what I mean by arrogant, Steve. He'll never listen to scientists. As long as it goes against him, he will never listen even to the scientists. So he lies. He lies, this guy.
Listen to the woman.
How do you choose your scientists?
No, I don't choose. I got a Quran. Alhamdulillah.
Exactly.
Alhamdulillah. The Quran, the scientists confirm with the Quran that no amount is good for you.
Why did you choose that one then?
Because this is a global study. Does that answer your question?
A global study?
Yes, it's published in the Lancet. This is a respected medical journal.
Published in the Lancet.
A respected medical journal.
Moderation is good.
Are there any Lancet studies?
And by the way, this was nearly a 30-year study over thousands of people.
Are there other studies that are published in the...
No, not as big as this. Not as big as this. Not as big as this.
Look how
you see, like a joker, he laughs now. That's all he got. That's all you guys can do now. Laugh when you have been exposed.
You're comical.
When you're exposed.
You're comical.
I don't see anybody else laughing other than you.
Yes, I can point you out. He just laughed.
And you.
They
were laughing at you.
Oh, I see.
Yes. You're making a clown of yourself.
You are so wise. Let me bow before you.
Every single article in the Lancet is always agreed with.
It's peer reviewed. That's how the scientists work.
You're showing. No, that's how science works.
You didn't answer the question, though.
I did.
No, you didn't.
Okay. What is this? If he shuts up, then I can listen to you. I can't hear you with this guy shouting. So let me. Okay, let's go somewhere else because I think I'm done with this. Let's go somewhere.
Article that doesn't in the Lancet is agreed with every other article in the Lancet. This man is.
Okay, if you can show me another scientific study of this scale,
on camera.
then we have a point. Right now, both of you have nothing.
We have nothing, and you have
everything. Contradictory articles within.
Show me something, then go on. Show me.
Well, you haven't showed us anything.
I showed you the Lancet. What more you want? What do you want to see?
I want to see it in colour and print.
Okay. I'll tell you what.
A date.
I'll tell you what. Give me your email. Give me your email. I'll email it to you.
You must be joking.
Why, you're that insecure? Now he realizes that there's no other evidence other than this now.
Anyway, I need to go now. I've got a bottle of wine waiting at home for me.
That's good, no problem. It's your body.
It's red with lots of antioxidants.
It's your body. You can abuse it however you want.
Thank you.
Jazakallah. Thank you very much. Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Before we have to